The story you are about to hear is not just about one man. It is about power, secrets, and truth. It is about the fight for freedom and the price of exposing hidden lies. Julian Assange changed the world. Some call him a hero, others call him a traitor, but no one can ignore him. He revealed what was never meant to be seen. Governments wanted him silenced. But was he right? Or did he go too far? From a young hacker to the world's most wanted man, from hiding in an embassy to the walls of a high-security prison, his journey is full of danger, betrayal, and suspense. Will he escape? Will he be free? Or will the truth cost him everything? Stay with us. Listen closely. The answers are waiting. Chapter 1. A Curious Mind. The story begins in a small town in Australia, a place of wide skies, quiet streets, and distant waves crashing on the shore. In this town, a boy with bright eyes and a restless mind was growing up. His name? Julian Assange. From the beginning, Julian was different. While other children played in the sun, he sat with books, questions filling his head. He wanted to know how things worked, how the world was built, how secrets were kept. His mother, Christine, was not like other mothers. She believed in freedom, in change, in moving from place to place. They never stayed in one town for long. Julian's childhood was full of new schools, new faces, and new beginnings. But it was lonely too. No roots, no steady friends, only his mother, his thoughts, and his hunger for knowledge. One day, something changed. A gift, a computer, not just a machine, but a door, a key to another world. He turned it on, a black screen, a blinking cursor, and behind it, endless possibilities. It was the 1980s. The internet was still young. Few people understood it. Even fewer could control it. But Julian? He learned fast. He studied numbers, symbols, commands. It was like magic. With just a few keystrokes, he could connect to places far away. Systems built to be locked were no longer locked to him. He wasn't trying to steal. He wasn't trying to break. He was trying to see, to understand. Late at night, while the world slept, Julian sat in front of his glowing screen. His fingers moved across the keyboard, opening doors that were meant to stay shut. Banks, government files, secret databases. He wasn't caught. Not yet. He was careful. But each time his heart raced. Each time he asked himself, how much could he see before someone saw him? His mother worried. She saw him disappear into his computer for hours, days, nights. He wasn't a normal teenager. He had no time for games or parties, only curiosity, only the hunt for knowledge. Then one day, something happened that he couldn't ignore. He read about a place far away, a dictatorship, a government hiding crimes, people suffering while the world looked away. Julian sat in front of his screen. He had a question now, a new question. What if people could see the truth? What if no secret was safe? What if knowledge belonged to everyone? A seed was planted. It would take years to grow. But one day, this idea, this hunger, would change everything. For now, he was just a boy. A boy with questions. A boy who moved from town to town. A boy who one day would shake the world. Chapter 2. The Hacker, known as Mendax. Julian sat in front of his computer, the room dark except for the soft glow of the screen. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard. Click, tap, a pause. He waited. A door was opening. Not a real door, but a digital one. On the other side, secrets. At 16, Julian had a new name. Not Julian Assange, not anymore. Online, he was Mendax. It meant noble liar in Latin. A name with meaning, a name with power, a name that hid his real identity. He wasn't alone. There were others like him, young, smart, curious. Together, they formed a group. They called themselves the International Subversives. Their mission was not to steal, not to destroy, but to see. The world was changing. Computers were no longer just machines in offices. They connected people, ideas, systems, banks, universities, governments. Secrets were stored inside them, locked behind passwords, hidden behind walls of code. But every system had a weakness. Every wall had a crack. And Julian, he knew how to find them. Night after night, he and his friends explored. One day, it was a telephone company. The next, a government database. They left no trace, no damage, no stolen money, just a footprint, a whisper in the system, a quiet reminder that someone had been there. But Julian wanted more. He wanted to test the limits. How far could he go? How much could he see? He studied encryption, learned new codes, cracked security walls. His hunger for knowledge was endless. He read books about hacking, about spies, about government secrets. Each word added to his power. Each lesson made him smarter. Then, one night, something went wrong. A mistake, a trace, a connection that should have been hidden wasn't. The police were watching. Julian didn't know it yet, but they were following his every move. They had logs of his connections. They knew the places he had entered, the networks he had explored. They were patient, silent, waiting for the right moment. And then, they struck. A knock at the door. A voice. Julian Assange, open up. His heart pounded. His mother stood behind him, confused, afraid. The police pushed inside. His computer was taken, wires pulled, hard drives removed. They had proof. Julian was arrested. The courtroom was cold. He sat alone, listening as the charges were read. 31 counts of hacking. 31 times he had crossed the line. He could go to prison. His future, his dreams, could be over before they even began. But the judge saw something different. This was not a boy who wanted to hurt people. He was not a criminal. He was a seeker. You are intelligent, the judge said, but intelligence must be used wisely. Julian was lucky. No prison, no years behind bars. Just a fine, a warning, a second chance. But something had changed. The world was not what it seemed. Power was hidden. Information was controlled. Secrets were everywhere. And Julian had touched something big, something dangerous. He was young, But he understood now. Knowledge was power, and power belonged to those who knew. He had escaped prison, but this was just the beginning. The world was waiting, and Julian Assange was ready. Chapter 3. WikiLeaks, a new kind of journalism. The world was full of secrets. Governments hid the truth. Big companies covered their mistakes. Important decisions were made behind closed doors, far from the eyes of ordinary people. Julian Assange saw this, and he wanted to change it. But how? The media was controlled. Journalists could be silenced. Stories could be buried. Assange needed something different, a tool, a weapon, a way to bring hidden information into the light. He had an idea, a website, not just any website, a place where people could share secrets without being caught, a safe space for whistleblowers, a shield for truth. He called it WikiLeaks. It started small, a few lines of code, a simple design, a new kind of journalism. Anyone, anywhere could send documents. No names, no traces, only the truth. Once a secret was uploaded, it could not be erased. But would it work? Would people trust it? The first leaks were small. Reports from corrupt governments, hidden deals, nothing too big, nothing too dangerous. Yet, then something changed. A whistleblower sent something big. A document from Kenya. A story of police killings, corruption, fear. The world had ignored it before, but now, with WikiLeaks, there was proof. The document was real. The story could not be denied. People started to notice. Journalists, activists, politicians. Some called it brave, others called it dangerous. Assange didn't care. He knew one thing: the truth must be free. More leaks followed. Governments grew nervous. Corporations felt threatened. Some tried to stop him, some tried to find him. But WikiLeaks had no address, no office. It was everywhere and nowhere. Then came the biggest leak yet. A bank, hiding money, avoiding taxes, breaking the law. Assange and his team exposed it. The bank was powerful. It fought back. It tried to shut WikiLeaks down. For a moment, it seemed they had won. WikiLeaks was offline. The website had disappeared. But not for long. Hackers, supporters, truth-seekers, they fought back. They found new servers. They spread the files. Within hours, WikiLeaks was alive again. Governments watched. They knew this was not just a website. It was something more. A force, a movement, a threat. And Julian? He was no longer just a hacker. He was something bigger. A journalist. A warrior for truth. A name the world would never forget. But the real battle was still ahead. The biggest leaks had not yet come. The most dangerous secrets were still waiting. And when they came, the world would never be the same again. Chapter 4. The First Leaks. A Taste of Power. The first document arrived. A secret hidden by a powerful bank. Numbers, names, transactions. It was proof of corruption. Proof that the rich were protecting themselves while others suffered. Julian Assange read every page. His hands trembled with excitement. This was it. The moment he had been waiting for. The first real test of WikiLeaks. Would people care? Would they believe it? The answer came quickly. The document was published. Newspapers picked up the story. Questions spread. The bank denied everything, but the evidence was clear. WikiLeaks had done something no one else could. It had pulled back the curtain and shown the world the truth. Then, more leaks followed. Faster, bigger, more dangerous. A politician in Kenya, a secret deal in China, military reports, hidden violence, stolen elections. Each new file carried a new truth. Each leak exposed something that powerful people wanted to keep buried. Governments noticed. The media paid attention. Journalists called, asking for interviews. Some admired him. Some feared him. Others wanted to know, who was Julian Assange? He gave few answers. He stayed in the shadows, letting WikiLeaks speak for itself. But he could feel the pressure building. The more truth he revealed, the more enemies he made. Some called him a hero. Others called him a criminal. Then came a warning. A message. A quiet threat. Stop. But Julian didn't stop. He couldn't. He had seen too much. He knew too much. The truth belonged to the people. And if the people wanted to know, he would show them. The leaks kept coming. Governments grew angry. They called him reckless, irresponsible. They said he was putting people in danger, but Assange believed the real danger was silence, lies, secrets kept in the dark. One day, a journalist asked him, "Do you think this will change the world?" Julian looked at him. His eyes were sharp. His voice was calm. "It already has." But the fight was far from over. The biggest leaks were still ahead. The most dangerous truths were yet to be told, and Julian Assange was just getting started. Chapter 5. Collateral Murder. The Leak That Shocked the World. April 2010. A quiet moment before the storm. A file appears on Julian Assange's screen. A video, unedited, unfiltered. A secret buried in military reports, now waiting to be seen. He presses play. Blurry figures move along a street in Baghdad. Some carry bags, others walk in pairs. It looks like an ordinary day. Then, a voice. Cold. Professional. A U.S. soldier speaking through radio communication. "Permission to engage?" Another voice responds. "Engage!" Gunfire. The men collapse. Smoke rises. A second round of shots. Some try to crawl away. A van pulls up. Civilians rush to help the wounded. More bullets. The bodies fall again. The shooting stops. Silence. Then, laughter. "Look at those dead bastards." The voices sound calm, detached, as if this were just another mission, another day. Julian leans back in his chair. His heart pounds. He watches again and again. The words sink in. The images burn into his mind. He knows what he is seeing. This is not just war. This is something more, something the world was never meant to see. He breathes deeply. The decision is clear. The video must be released. People have the right to know. WikiLeaks prepares the file. It needs a name, something that will make the world pay attention. They call it Collateral Murder. April 5th, 2010. The video goes live. Within hours, it spreads across the internet. News stations pick it up. Social media explodes. People watch in shock. Some refuse to believe it. Others say it is proof that war is not what governments say it is. Journalists argue. Politicians respond. The U.S. military defends the attack. They say the men were armed, that the soldiers followed orders. But people see the van, the civilians, the children who were inside. The truth cannot be ignored. The images cannot be erased. The debate begins. Is Julian Assange a journalist or an enemy, a truth teller, or a criminal? The Pentagon is furious. They accuse WikiLeaks of putting soldiers in danger. They demand to know the source. Someone, somewhere, leaked the file. And now, the U.S. government wants to find them. Julian does not back down. He speaks to reporters. He defends the release. If wars can be started by lies, he says, they can be stopped by truth. The words are powerful. The message is clear. But now, WikiLeaks is no longer just a website. It is a target. Assange is no longer just a journalist. He is an enemy in the eyes of the most powerful military in the world. Days pass. The controversy grows. Some call him a hero. Others call him a traitor. In the White House, in military offices, in secret rooms, powerful people make plans. They cannot ignore Julian Assange anymore. They must stop him. Before we begin Chapter 6, a quick note for our listeners. You're currently listening to this audiobook on WooEnglish. Remember, this content is specially made for WooEnglish listeners only. If you're hearing it on any other channel, it may be a violation of WooEnglish's rights. Please ensure you're tuned into the right source to fully enjoy and respect this audiobook journey. Now, let's continue the story. Chapter 6, The Afghan War Diaries. The U.S. Fights Back. The files were massive. Thousands of reports, thousands of pages, each one a glimpse into a war that had been hidden behind government statements and official press releases. They arrived at WikiLeaks in secret, passed through channels that no one could trace. Names, locations, strategies, everything was there. The raw truth of the Afghan war. Julian Assange sat in front of his screen. He read report after report. Attacks on villages, civilian deaths, secret missions that had never been reported. He saw patterns, connections, evidence of things that governments never wanted the public to see. This was bigger than anything before. Bigger than collateral murder. Bigger than any single document. This was a war laid bare. He knew the risks. He knew what it would mean to release them. But he also knew one thing for certain. People had the right to know. The decision was made. The world would see what had been hidden. On July 25th, 2010, WikiLeaks published the Afghan War Diaries. The media reacted instantly. Newspapers around the world picked up the story. Journalists searched through the files, finding reports of secret killings, hidden casualties, and missions that had gone wrong. The numbers were shocking. Over 90,000 documents, covering almost a decade of war. The largest leak of classified military information in history. The U.S. government responded within hours. Officials stood in front of cameras. Their voices were serious. Their message was clear. Julian Assange had put lives at risk. The files, they said, contained sensitive details. Information that could endanger soldiers and intelligence officers. The word traitor was spoken. Not directly. Not yet. But the anger in their voices was undeniable. Assange defended the release. He spoke to journalists, standing in front of the world without fear. He said this was not about harming anyone. It was about transparency, accountability, the truth about war. The people deserved to know what was happening in their name. But the reaction was different this time. Some journalists supported him. Others hesitated. Governments around the world watched closely. Allies of the U.S. worried. If WikiLeaks could expose one war, what else could it reveal? The backlash began. Security agencies moved quickly. They searched for the source. Someone inside the system had leaked the files. Someone had betrayed the military. The hunt for the whistleblower began. Then, a name surfaced. Bradley Manning, a young U.S. soldier, an intelligence analyst stationed in Iraq, a man with access to classified files, and a conscience that would not let him stay silent. Manning had sent the files to WikiLeaks. Now, the U.S. had found their target. Within days, Manning was arrested, held in solitary confinement, accused of espionage. The charges were heavy. The punishment, if convicted, could mean life in prison. The message was clear. This was what happened to those who leaked secrets. This was what happened to those who helped WikiLeaks. Julian Assange watched from afar. He knew he was next. The attacks against him intensified. The media called him reckless. Officials hinted at legal action. His name was whispered in government meetings. Intelligence agencies discussed how to stop him. WikiLeaks had always been untouchable, hidden behind servers, supported by a network that had no face. But Julian Assange? He was a man with a body, a man who could be taken down. The pressure grew. Banks blocked WikiLeaks accounts. Hosting services cut off the website. Politicians called for his arrest. Some said he should be silenced forever. But he did not stop. More documents were waiting. More secrets yet to be revealed. He had started something he could not turn back from. The Afghan War Diaries had shaken the world. But the next leak, the next revelation, would be even bigger. And this time, the fight against him would be relentless. Chapter 7. Sweden, the allegations and the arrest warrant. The world was watching. Julian Assange had become a symbol. To some, he was a hero, fearless, determined, fighting for the truth. To others, he was dangerous, reckless, arrogant, a man who had gone too far. Governments feared him. Journalists debated him. The public was divided. But one thing was certain. He had power. Then something changed. A story broke. A new accusation. Not about leaks, not about secrets, but something personal. Sweden issued a warrant for his arrest. The charge? Sexual misconduct. The news spread quickly. Headlines flashed his name across the world. Assange denied everything. He said it was a trap, a way to silence him. He was sure of it. The Swedish authorities disagreed. They said this was not political. This was the law. The case was serious. Assange must return to Sweden to face questioning. He knew the risks. Sweden had close ties to the United States. If he went, would he ever come back? Or would this be the moment they took him? Would he disappear into a prison cell, away from the world, away from WikiLeaks? The British police received orders. If he set foot outside, he would be arrested. His time was running out. He made a decision. Instead of going to Sweden, he stayed in London and fought the extradition. His lawyers argued that Sweden would hand him over to the United States. The evidence, they said, was weak. The case was political. The court disagreed. The ruling was clear. He must go. Assange refused. Days passed, then weeks, then months. He waited, planned, looked for a way out. And then he found one. A knock on the door. The Ecuadorian embassy. A small building in central London protected by international law. If he could get inside, he would be safe. The risk was high. The police were everywhere. If they caught him, it was over. But he moved quickly, slipped through the doors, and just like that, he was gone. Ecuador granted him asylum. Inside, he was safe. Outside, the police waited. A standoff had begun. The embassy became his prison. No fresh air, no freedom, just a small room, a desk, a computer. The world watched, but no one could touch him. Months turned into years. The accusations remained. Sweden demanded his return. The UK refused to let him go. The United States stayed silent, watching from the shadows. Time passed. His world grew smaller. His health declined. The walls pressed in. But he held on. He knew this was not just about him. This was bigger. And he would not give up. Not yet. Chapter 8. Seeking Asylum. The Ecuadorian Embassy Escape. London, 2012. The city moves fast, but for Julian Assange, time is running out. The court has ruled. Extradition to Sweden is final. The police are waiting. His next move could change everything. He steps out into the streets, eyes scanning the faces around him. He knows they are watching. Every step matters. The risk is high. If he is caught, the fight could be over, but he has a plan, a final escape. He walks quickly, turning corners, staying in the shadows. His destination is near, a small building in central London, unnoticed by most, but for him, it is the last safe place. He reaches the door. His heart pounds. A deep breath. A knock. The Ecuadorian embassy. A man answers. Julian looks him in the eye. He speaks carefully, each word measured. He is seeking asylum. He needs protection. The UK wants to arrest him. Sweden wants to take him. The United States, they are silent, but he knows what they want. The decision does not come quickly. Ecuador must think, must consider, must decide if they will take this risk. Outside, the police are waiting. News spreads, cameras flash. The world now knows where he is. Then the answer arrives. Ecuador says yes. He is safe. But there is a price. The embassy is small. No open space, no fresh air. The door he walked through will never open for him again. If he leaves, he is arrested. He has traded one prison for another. Outside, the UK police make their position clear. He will not be allowed to leave. Not in a car, not on a plane, not even if he is made a diplomat. They will wait. Days pass, then weeks, then months. The embassy becomes his world. A narrow room, a small bed, a desk with a computer. His work continues, but his body weakens. The walls press in. His skin grows pale. Years begin to slip by. The world moves forward, but he remains inside. He reads, he writes, he speaks to supporters through video. His mind is sharp, but his body suffers. His health declines. The stress builds. Ecuador faces pressure. Governments call. Deals are discussed behind closed doors. Some say he has overstayed his welcome. Some say he is still in danger. Then the rules change. The embassy is no longer a safe haven. Security tightens. His internet is cut off. He is alone, isolated, no way to reach the world outside. And then it happens. A new leader in Ecuador, a shift in power, a decision made far away, but it changes everything. April 11th, 2019. The door opens. Police rush in. He struggles, shouts. The cameras capture every moment. Dragged outside. The world watches. The waiting is over. But the fight is not. Chapter 9. The leaks continue. Snowden, Clinton, and the 2016 election. The walls of the embassy close in, but the outside world keeps turning. Julian Assange is trapped, but WikiLeaks is not. The leaks continue, spreading across the internet like wildfire. New secrets, new scandals. In 2013, a man steps out of the shadows, a whistleblower, a name that will shake the world. Edward Snowden, a former intelligence officer, a man who has seen too much. He holds something explosive. Documents from the U.S. government, proof of mass surveillance. The government is watching everyone, every call, every email, every message. No one is safe. Snowden reaches out. He wants the truth to be known. WikiLeaks helps him escape. He flees to Russia seeking asylum. Some call him a hero, others call him a traitor. Assange watches from the embassy, knowing that Snowden's fate could have been his own. Another man running from the most powerful government in the world. Then, another leak. It is 2016. A U.S. election is coming. The world is watching. The Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton, a powerful campaign, a leader preparing to take office, then emails, thousands of them. WikiLeaks publishes them all. Conversations, strategies, hidden truths. The reaction is immediate. The media erupts. Some say it is just politics. Others say it is corruption. The emails show favoritism, power games, backroom deals. Trust is broken. The voters are angry. Clinton loses ground. Her opponent, Donald Trump, rises in the polls. The balance shifts. The United States is furious. Intelligence agencies speak of hackers. Russia is named. A foreign power interfering in an election. They say WikiLeaks is involved. They say Assange is being used. He denies it. He says his goal is only the truth. No sides, no politics, only transparency. But the accusations do not stop. Some say he is helping democracy, exposing secrets that the people deserve to know. Others say he is a pawn, working for forces he does not control. A name that was once linked to journalism is now linked to conspiracy. The world is divided. Inside the embassy, Assange watches. He cannot leave. He cannot move. But outside, the world is changing. His name is no longer just a symbol of free information. Now, it is something darker, more dangerous. The U.S. government does not forget. The leaks have reached too far. He is no longer just an enemy of secrecy. He is an enemy of the state, and they are coming for him. Chapter 10. The embassy turns against him. The walls of the embassy had protected him for years. Outside, the world kept moving, but inside, time stood still. Julian Assange lived in a small room, surrounded by books, papers, and a single window that he could not leave. The embassy had been a refuge, but it was never truly a home. It was a waiting room, a place of exile, a cage without bars. At first, life inside was bearable. He had visitors, supporters, journalists who wanted to hear his story. He spoke to the world through video calls, his words reaching far beyond the walls that confined him. He still had WikiLeaks. He still had a voice. But everything changed. Ecuador had a new president, a leader who wanted better relations with the United States, a leader who did not see Assange as a guest, but as a problem. The pressure grew. The rules inside the embassy became stricter. The internet was cut off. No more messages, no more leaks, no more contact with the outside world. His world shrank. The isolation became heavier. His health suffered. The years of confinement took their toll. His skin grew pale. His body weakened. Doctors warned that he needed medical care. He needed fresh air, sunlight, movement. But stepping outside meant prison, extradition, the end. The people who once protected him began to turn away. They called him difficult. They said he was rude, ungrateful. The embassy staff grew tired of his presence. They watched him more closely. They restricted his visitors. The space around him got smaller and smaller. He knew something was coming. The warnings were everywhere. Whispers in the news, reports that Ecuador was negotiating with the British government. Something was happening behind closed doors, something that would decide his fate. Then, one morning in April 2019, it happened. The door burst open. A group of men rushed inside, British police. Their hands grabbed him. He struggled. His voice rose in anger, in fear. He had known this moment would come, but now that it was real, it felt unreal. They dragged him outside, into the daylight. Cameras flashed. The world watched. The man who had lived in shadows was now fully exposed, his hair long and white, his body thin and weak. He looked tired, but his eyes still burned with defiance. 7 years inside. 7 years waiting for this moment. The embassy had handed him over. His asylum was gone. His protection was gone. He had nowhere left to run. The police forced him into a van. The doors slammed shut. The crowd outside murmured. Some cheered. Some cried out in protest. Some simply watched, unsure of what to think. The moment was history. The man who had uncovered the world's secrets was now a prisoner. But the fight was not over. The United States was waiting. The charges were waiting. His fate was still unknown, and the world was still watching. Chapter 11. Prison, Extradition, and the Fight for Freedom. The van doors slammed shut. The engine roared. Julian Assange sat inside, hands bound, his body weak, his mind racing. The embassy was behind him. Freedom was gone. The world had watched his arrest, cameras flashing as he was dragged away. But now, there were no cameras. Only cold steel, silence, and the weight of what was coming next. They took him to Belmarsh Prison, a high-security facility in London. A place for dangerous criminals, terrorists, murderers. But Julian was not a killer. He had not stolen money, not committed violence. His crime, they said, was exposing secrets. The gates closed behind him. The walls were high. The guards were strict. The outside world faded. His new reality was small. A tiny cell, hard walls, a thin mattress, a place meant to break men. The days blurred into each other. The routine never changed. Meals were given through a slot. The door remained locked. An hour outside, then back in. The walls pressed in. The silence became heavy. No more computers. No more leaks. No more endless streams of information. Just him. Alone. But outside, the battle had just begun. The United States was waiting. The charges were waiting. Espionage, conspiracy, hacking. If found guilty, he could face 175 years in prison. A lifetime. A slow, endless punishment in a place far worse than Belmarsh. His lawyers fought back. His supporters took to the streets. Protesters carried signs. Free Assange. Journalism is not a crime. Famous voices spoke out. Politicians debated. Was he a whistleblower? A journalist? or a criminal who had gone too far. The court battles began. Lawyers on both sides argued. The U.S. government said he had endangered lives, that his leaks had put soldiers, diplomats, and agents at risk. WikiLeaks had revealed too much. His defense said otherwise. They called him a publisher, a man who had given the world the truth. If he was punished, then what would happen to journalism? What would happen to free speech? The judge listened. The hearings dragged on. Each side brought witnesses, evidence, arguments. The courtroom was full, the tension heavy. Outside, reporters waited, cameras ready, pens moving, capturing every detail. Julian appeared only sometimes, thin, pale, older, his hair now fully white, his body weak, but his mind was sharp. His words were still strong. He stood before the judge and spoke of truth, of power, of the right to know. Months passed, then years. The fight continued. The world had changed. Governments had shifted. Presidents had come and gone, but Julian remained inside Belmarsh. The decision had not yet been made. Would he be extradited, or would he be set free? His health worsened. Doctors warned that the isolation, the stress, the years of confinement had taken their toll. He was fading. Supporters demanded his release. They warned that time was running out. Some said that if he was sent to the United States, he would not survive. The world waited. The court was slow. The decision uncertain. Would this be the end? Or did Julian Assange still have one last fight left? Chapter 12. Truth, Power, and the Legacy of Julian Assange. Truth is a fragile thing. It can be hidden, twisted, controlled. It can be erased from history or rewritten by those in power. But it can also break free. It can shine through cracks, slip past barriers, and reach the people who need to hear it. Julian Assange believed that truth was not a privilege. It was a right. His journey began with curiosity, a desire to understand how the world worked. It led him to computers, to hacking, to uncovering information that was never meant to be seen. But knowledge alone was not enough. He wanted more. He wanted to expose the lies, the corruption, the hidden decisions that shaped lives without the public's consent. WikiLeaks was his answer. A platform for truth. A place where whistleblowers could reveal what governments and corporations tried to bury. It was built on secrecy, but aimed at destroying it. The leaks shook the world. The war logs, the diplomatic cables, the videos of airstrikes, of hidden deaths, of war crimes that had been denied. He did not choose sides. He exposed secrets from the East and the West, from powerful nations and small governments alike. He believed that if people knew the truth, they could change the world. But truth is dangerous. It threatens those who rely on silence. Governments called him reckless. Officials accused him of putting lives at risk. Some saw him as a threat to national security. Others saw him as the last real journalist in a world where the powerful controlled the news. His supporters called him a hero. His enemies called him a criminal. He spent years running, hiding, trapped between the walls of embassies and prison cells. He lost his freedom, his health, his peace, but he never stopped fighting. The world watched as he was dragged from the Ecuadorian embassy. Pale, frail, but still defiant, he had warned them all. If wars could be started by lies, they could be stopped by truth. Now he waits in prison, facing the possibility of a lifetime behind bars. His future is uncertain. His fate depends on courts, on governments, on political deals made behind closed doors. But the question remains, was he right? Some believe he changed journalism forever, that he proved information could be freed, that secrets had no place in a democracy. Others believe he went too far, that some things must remain hidden, that national security is more important than transparency. But one thing is clear. Because of him, the world can no longer ignore what lies beneath the surface. People question more. They demand answers. They know that somewhere, behind the headlines, behind the official statements, there may be another version of the story. Julian Assange may spend the rest of his life in prison, or he may walk free. His legacy is still being written. But no matter what happens, one truth remains. Because of him, secrets will never be safe again.